Hi guys, today we're going to talk about the Realme C12. But before we do, here's some dope on the rupees under 10,000 segment. Now, even till last year, we had smartphones under rupees 10,000 that more or less offered the same features as a smartphone under rupees 15,000. I'm talking about a 48 megapixel camera, a glass sandwich design, or even a 6 series Qualcomm processor. Now, all those seems to have vanished this year, and the culprits are most likely the GST rate hike, the supply chain disruptions, as well as a higher rupee-dollar exchange rate. So much so that smartphones sporting these kind of specs are now priced upwards of rupees 13,000. I'm saying all this because the Realme C12 is essentially an attempt to fill that gap. Now, Redmi did it with the Redmi 9 Prime recently, and it's Realme's turn to do the same to the under 10,000 segment. Hi, I'm Shubhajit from Digit.in, and in this video, we're going to look at how the Realme C12 performs in daily use. For this video, I used the Realme C12 as my daily driver for a few days. I took a few photos of the area around my house, played a few games here and there, and even tried to get some work done on this phone. The Realme C12 looks fairly modern, even though it's plastic. Realme is calling it the geometric gradient design, and frankly, I quite dig it. It doesn't attract smudges and fingerprints and keeps the weight on the down low. Speaking of which, the Realme C12 has an old school rear mounted fingerprint sensor at the back that's quite blazing fast, as well as an old school drop notch in the middle of the display. The display measures 6.5 inches and offers HD plus resolution in line with what most other smartphones in this segment offer. As a result, while the visuals are not crispy sharp, it's manageable in the sense that you can still make out the finer details when watching a video. The performance is also very average and once again toes the line of what others offer in this segment. The MediaTek Helio G35 is inside, the same chipset that powers the Realme C11 that launched just before this. The chipset barely manages to run the popular games like PUBG Mobile and COD Mobile, and neither of them will let you play at peak frame rates even with graphics set at the lowest, not that it's an option. Benchmark scores also state that the performance is absolutely entry level. The scores may look higher because all MediaTek chipsets have an inbuilt benchmark detector which cranks up the CPU to run at peak capabilities for the duration of the test. In the real world, the performance bottleneck is eased up by the lightweight Realme UI. On the C12, it imitates stock Android the most with the icon design, home screen layout, and more. What it lacks is the Google Discover screen when you swipe left, and inbuilt live wallpapers, which given its 3GB RAM inside won't be a good experience, I am assuming. Then again, what made me stick to the Realme C12 for the past few days and not start ripping off my hair is the camera. It's not a high resolution 48 megapixel but still manages to capture some rich, vibrant photos. The Realme C12 rocks a 13 megapixel primary camera with f2.2 aperture, a 2 megapixel black and white camera, and a 4 megapixel macro lens. Clearly, there's not much that can be expected from this setup, but I was left pleasantly surprised. The Realme C12 images don't produce the details which a 48 megapixel camera does, but the color output is good enough to make the photos social media worthy. In the day, the Realme C12 is a handy camera to have. The shutter response times are near instant and the output is almost what you see. Although if you turn on Chroma Boost, there's a good 3-second processing time for the photo and the colors look overly saturated. My advice, pick and choose when you want to use the Chroma Boost while you're shooting. Now, while the primary camera left me impressed, it's also the only good option I had when shooting. There's no ultra-wide lens on this one and the 4MP macro camera is better left unused. So is the 2 megapixel black and white sensor, which is what Realme uses to offer portrait mode and some filters. Interestingly enough, the Realme C12 comes with a night mode, which is great for a phone priced under rupees 10,000 right now. It works similar to how all night mode works in smartphones and the results are okayish at best. You won't get the bright and sharp low light images we expect from mid-rangers and flagships of course, but one that's barely manageable. See for yourself. Now, videos on the Realme C12 are good enough for basic shoots. Don't try to shoot a movie on this, there's no stabilization in place, so a steady hand is required and the video quality is limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second. Like everything else in the Realme C12, it's just the bare basics. So that's the camera. Impressive but not so versatile. But the real hero of this smartphone is the 6000 mAh battery. It takes patience to charge it with the bundled 10-watt charger, but once you do, it'll take you days to empty it. With none of the internal components consuming too much power, the 6000 mAh battery makes this a marathon runner. I charged the smartphone back last Friday and it still has around 15% charge left. From what I have seen, when people are trying to buy a smartphone under Rs 10,000, they deem a few qualities quite crucial: long battery life, acceptable camera quality, and a lag-free experience in at least the basic usage. The Realme C12 that we just reviewed here ticks all those boxes and also adds good looks as a bonus. But treat it any more than an entry-level device, you're going to start to feel disappointed. The Realme C12 struggles to run games at smooth frame rates. Multitasking will slow this phone down, and the screen could have been brighter and sharper, and the performance of course could have been better, but given all the constraints and limits in place for OEMs in this segment right now, the Realme C12 actually comes across as a good deal if you have a budget of under Rs 10,000. So that was our take on the Realme C12. Let us know what you thought of this device in the comment section below, and for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to Digit.in. Thank you.